Hi, this is a video on how to write position papers. Writing position papers counts as part of your, not really grade, but your evaluation by the committee. And, they do give you a score, so they give you like usually out of 10. It really depends on the conference. And it also is one of your best tools in writing the position paper. You're really synthesizing information to really understand your country's background and position and possible solutions to the topics or the problem at hand. So it's very helpful in that sense. So it's really your best tool for getting prepared for the conference to write the position paper, and it's also a requirement. So how to write position papers. So you do your research in the way that I outlined in the video on how to do research. You have all the information by answering those questions that we talked about there. So please go and watch the video on how to do research before this one if you're curious on how to get all the information to put into your position paper, okay? So, you get all your information, and then you don't want to include every single last thing. You want the most important information that's pertinent to the topics at hand. And, you're not going, you want to have more research in your head than you do have on this paper. That's important. But in the paper, you do want to be a bit more concise and not have all of that on there. And accuracy is important. You want your information to be correct, okay? Because lack of accuracy is going to be the biggest thing that cuts from your score. And also, it's not a good thing to really go around putting on inaccurate information in papers. That's not really good. So you got the history of the topic, your country's stance on the topic, and your goals for the conference. So this lends itself to a very nice 3-paragraph structure where you have one paragraph talking about the history of your topic, blah, 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 this is the history of the topic, here's how it started, and, all of that. Very brief, important treaties, UN resolutions, and international action that's pertinent to the topic, okay? And this is from a global perspective, not from the specific perspective of your country, but in the larger scheme of things, what has happened with regards to this issue. So we have the issue of this, of food security. These are the actions that the UN has taken previously. This is some other international action that has been taken. Here's a treaty between this country and this country to, help reduce food wastage, and that's an important thing, and blah, 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 and just general stuff about, big things that have happened with relation to the issue on an international, global scale. Okay, so one paragraph about that. It can be, a bit more brief, okay? Then you got your country's stance on the topic, okay? So your country's position is going to be the second paragraph of your paper, okay? And it should delve into, how your country relates to the issue, what your country's government feels about this issue. Like I said before, it's not necessarily how the people of the country feel, but how the government feels that matters. Very important to note, those two things can be very different sometimes, but it's the government who's sending the person to the UN. So you delve into how your country relates to the issue at hand. So if it's water scarcity and you're India, you have a very different relationship to that issue than the US, even, China, a nation like South Africa, those countries all relate to the issue of, lack of water or, water problems, just generally availability problems in very different ways. So you want to look at how your country is related to the issue at hand. What is, what impact has that issue had on your country? How does your country's government feel about that issue? So if it's something like that's a pro or against, or like if it's something like water scarcity, obviously, everybody is against that. So it's like, what has your country done to address that issue? What actions has it taken? What does it see as a solution? Your country's past policies and actions and justification for these policies. We instituted local community task forces. So like, let's say I'm talking about Djibouti and water scarcity. This is also just completely made up, by the way. So not in fact. But let's say Djibouti said, oh, we instituted, local commissions of community members to build wells in order to improve access to water, and this plan worked very well. We trained these people in how to build a well, and we oversaw them building the wells. They built the well for their community, and it helped get water to all these people. We think that similar community-based approaches, will be very valuable, especially in smaller countries, to address the issue of water scarcity when there isn't the infrastructure or the, overall, ability in terms of funding and in terms of people to run large-scale efforts to, build wells in several areas. Local initiatives are better. Like, let's say that that's one thing. So use quotes from your country's leaders. So if you have a quote from a country's leader saying, this program was immensely successful, like this many more percent of people, in the country were able to get water, and maybe, whatever, statistics, resolutions, conventions your country has signed or ratified, all important, and how the other policies of other countries affect your position, So it should be written from the perspective of your country. So like Djibouti believes that, or Djibouti has taken action, or the delegation of Ireland has done this, or Ireland has done this. So you can say the delegation of, or you can just say the country. So written from the perspective of your country. Not from the perspective of a leader of your country, but from the perspective of your country itself. You say India has done this. The US has done this. The delegation of India believes this. Like, you're writing from the perspective of your country. And then you end with a brief summary of your country's goals and approach for the conference. So what solutions does your country think are integral? So actually, let me rephrase that example I gave from before. So like, let's say the water example. So you might say, we've taken these actions in the past of having these local initiatives. They've had the success rate. We have taken this initiative of educating young children about the importance of clean water in their communities in order to get them to pursue like fields related to clean water. And that's had this effect. We have taken this policy to introduce new filtration technology, and we have bought new filtration technology and put it in place, and that's also been effective. Like, you put like 5 things that your country does, whatever, and then you say like, overall these things have been so successful in our nation, so we think that these particular things, having community initiatives in small communities and making sure that we have access to proper filtration equipment, are the key things that are integral to a successful resolution on the topic. So like it said here, don't have to be too overly detailed because there's limited space allowed. But those are some possible solutions. You might want to note, like, this country, Djibouti hopes to work with XYZ country towards this in light of their policies that are similar. We think that together we can form a coalition that, could push this policy to other small countries or whatever. If you want to also include possible alliances in addition to that. I'm sorry, my voice is just kind of going here, so I apologize for being a bit cracky. I am not yelling at you, I promise. Okay, so WAMUNC's position paper policies. We have a position paper due date of February 24th, 2017 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll probably set a due date that's a little bit before that, because I don't know if you guys are directly submitting or if we are submitting for you. So as soon as we know about that, we will get to you on that. And based on that, the due date will be set accordingly, but do plan for it to be that week, okay? Their position paper format is 1-page single space per topic. So it's very important to note that in GA, there are 2 topics, topic A, topic B. So let's say you're in the World Health Organization, which I don't think is one of their committees for GA, but whatever. That was a specialized committee that I did previously that operated in a GA style of debate, so I'm just using that. One topic was eugenics and the ethical issues associated with eugenics. The other topic was a pandemic of avian flu, I think. So, there's topic A, which is that eugenics, and then topic B, which is that avian flu thing, right? So you pick one of those topics at the beginning when you're setting the agenda, and most of the times you're only going to get through one topic in committee. But when it comes to your position paper, you've got to write 1 page, single-spaced, 1-inch margins, standard font and size, usually Times New Roman 12 I think would be appropriate, 1 page for each topic, okay? Topic A and topic B. Um, so you have a heading. So, okay, here you go. You have a heading where you list your country, you list your committee, and you list your topic in the heading, okay? At the top of your paper. And then you have sections. You put background, country position, and possible solutions. So here's a wonderful example that has been provided for you. Perhaps at a later meeting or something, we might break it down as to why it's good or something like that. But I do invite you to read this and then to put it in the context of the how to write a position paper part of this and understand each of the parts and how they fit in. As you can see here, there's the header. Blah. There's the background. There is the country position. And there is the section on solutions, okay? So you can call it possible solutions, I guess, whichever one. Each one of these, paragraph. So the topic here is nuclear proliferation in North Korea. So yes, please feel free to read that and to understand it in the context of position paper guidelines. So anyway, so this is how to write position papers. Perhaps in the future we will, or either at a meeting or through video, we'll go in more depth at this position paper. But it's pretty straightforward. Those are the 3 paragraphs. If you do your research according to the way outlined in the how to do research section, the position paper is really just synthesizing that information in the correct way and picking which information to include. So without further ado, I'm going to sign off. Have fun writing your position papers and getting ready for the conference. Hopefully you find this to be an enjoyable process. Also, some of you guys have written you guys wrote position papers as well for your tryouts. So, you could also look back at them a little bit, but I would actually strongly suggest looking at this example paper that they have provided because it is, obviously what they are looking for. So, thanks again.